What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be going over my Season 5 STORMCLAW build here for the Druid. Now, as you guys can see in the gameplay footage, I play in hardcore, and all of that gameplay footage was captured about a week ago, closer to the beginning of the season. I just haven't had enough time to sit down and actually make the build video, but that was using a fresh level 100 STORMCLAW Druid, and I had some pretty decent results overall with the gear that I had on the character. Now, unfortunately, I did lose this character during a Tormented Beast in the Ice run before I knew that fight was bugged, but I will say that I did manage to get my hands on an Andariel's Visage, and I was able to easily carry a two-person Tormented Andariel's fight, as well as clear a Tier 6 Infernal Horde without much difficulty. So I know there's a lot of potential still left in the build in terms of min-maxing, and if you're playing on softcore and you don't have to worry about dying, you should be able to complete a Tier 7 Horde without much investment, but I will say, given the fact that AoE is one of the weaknesses of this build, it will definitely shine more when you're pushing pit tiers as opposed to doing high tier Infernal Horde mode. Now, with all that being said, let's go ahead and look over the build. So for our skills, we're using Claw. Then we have Cataclysm here as our ultimate, and that's because we're going to be using the Malneric Ring. Then we have Earthen Bulwark to break out of crowd control effects. Then Maul to easily keep up all of our buffs on the Druid. Then we're using some Cyclone for a pushback if we need it, or mainly for that non-elemental damage reduction, and then we're slotting in Debilitating Roar for a little bit more survivability. Now, this is a flex spot. If you would like to, you can run Blood Howl to give you that increased attack speed. I just prefer Debilitating Roar because I play on hardcore. Now, moving on to our Spirit Boons, we are going to be running Weariness on the Deer for the damage reduction. On the Eagle, we are Spirit Bonded here, and we're picking up Iron Feather, as well as Avian Wrath. And Iron Feather is a flex spot for those playing in softcore. I just like the extra health in hardcore. On the Wolf, we are going to be running Calamity to extend the duration of our Cataclysm, and then on the Snake, we are running Combat for the Storm because we will be proccing that quite often with a Stormclaw build to cool down our Cataclysm ultimate. Moving on to the aspects and uniques, we are running a Godslayer crown on the helmet slot. We are going to be slotting in Hectic Aspect on the chest pieces to cool down our skills that much faster. For the gloves, we are running the Fist of Fate unique, and that is because it gives us a massive lucky hit chance, as well as the lucky hit chance to apply a random crowd control effect to our target. And this comes in handy if you're planning on clearing Uber Lilith this season. It really makes the second phase of that fight incredibly easy. You can stun lock her when she spawns, and it stops her from spawning her blood puddles, making that second phase super easy. So definitely one of the better items this season, and I definitely like it on this build. Onto the pants, we are running the Aspect of Might for the damage reduction. Onto the boots, we are running the Wildheart Hunger boots because it gives us that massive damage multiplier this season. Then for the weapon, it's going to be the Greater Staff of the Crone because it's a Stormclaw build. Onto the amulet, we're slotting an Overcharge aspect here, and this is where most of our damage is going to be coming from, and that's another reason why we're using the Fist of Fate gauntlets. Then for our first ring, that's going to be the Malneric Ring, and again, that is because we're using Cataclysm. Cataclysm has that massive lucky hit chance. It will proc your overcharge aspect constantly. And then for our second ring, it is going to be the rapid aspect. Now, I did go ahead and put down here in this first text box that if you are running the Infernal Horde mode during the monster waves, go ahead and swap out your rapid aspect ring and slot in Eridas just to increase your overall AoE with this setup. And if you would like, you can swap out your Fist of Fate to the rapid aspect if you don't want to lose that extra attack speed, but you really don't have to. However, I will say that once you get to the end and you're fighting the bosses, just go ahead and swap it back to the original setup because you'll get a lot more use out of that than you would in Erida's Ring. We also have the Andariel's Visage setup, which is my preferred way to play this build. It gives the build a lot more damage and survivability. So we are running the Andariel's Visage on the helmet slot. That gives us a massive attack speed roll, a ton of life on hit, as well as basically makes us immune to poisons. And then I prefer to run Temerity with this setup. Because of Andariel's Visage, you can pretty much guarantee that you will effectively double your HP pool with this item, and I really like this creative way of giving ourselves survivability without needing to run Tyrael's Might. However, if you prefer Tyrael's Might, you can run that instead of Temerity. Onto our gear stats. For the Godslayer crown, we're getting as much cooldown as we can. For the chest piece, it's going to be Willpower, ranks to Debilitating Roar, max life, and then for our temp rings, we're going Debilitating Roar duration, as well as the lucky hit chance to apply freeze or a stun or an immobilize. Those are all fine. For the gloves, again, as much lucky hit chance as we can get. For the pants, we are running Willpower, Max Life, and a Greater Affix to Armor, and that is so that way we can cap out our armor with only one Masterwork crit to the Armor Affix. Then we're picking up Debilitating Roar Duration again, and then some more lucky hit chance to apply a Crowd Control effect. Then on the boots, I would suggest going for ranks 2 height and senses if you are playing in hardcore, but if you're not in hardcore, you can definitely go for shape-shifting attack speed. On the weapon, just getting as much critical strike damage is preferred because we do have all of those critical strike damage multipliers on the Druid class. Then on the amulet, we are running max life, critical strike chance, attack speed, critical strike damage, and bonus ranks to Digigrade Gate. And of course, we're just trying to get as much critical strike chance as we can to get it as close to 100% as possible. Then for the Malneric ring, again, just try to get as much critical strike chance as you can here. And then for our second ring, we're running attack speed, critical strike chance, max life, more critical strike damage here on the tempering. And then we're also going to be running the Cataclysm cooldown reduction here as well. And you'll see here, we just want to go a little bit more into the cooldown for Cataclysm so that way we can guarantee our Cataclysm is up 100% of the time. Now for the Andariel setup, you want as much attack speed as possible off the helmet. Then for the chest piece, we are going to be using the armor affix here instead of the pants so that way we can reach armor cap while having Temerity equipped. However, you don't need to do this if you are running Tyrael's Might. Then for Temerity, getting as much damage reduction while healthy is preferred. Then on our amulet, because we have so much attack speed coming from Andariel's Visage, we're actually able to pick up ranks 2 in Venom to increase our damage by a lot here. And then on our rapid ring, again, because we have so much attack speed, we don't have to worry about cooldown so much on our Cataclysm, so we're just going into that critical strike chance to make up for the fact that we are now going to be pumping up ranks 2 in Venom on our amulet. For our gems, we're running emeralds on the weapon and then rubies on the armor. And I did want to go ahead and stop here and say that if you are looking for a significant damage increase to any build you're running on the Druid class this season, swap your rubies to sapphires, because the 500 willpower you can get out of having a complete set of sapphires on your gear pieces actually increases your damage by a substantial amount. And then for our amulet and rings, we are running all diamonds. Moving on to our skill tree, we're using Storm Strike into Fierce Storm Strike for vulnerability. Then we're grabbing Claw into Wild Claw for the chance to hit twice. Moving into our core skill tree, we're picking up 3 points Predatory Instinct as well as 3 points Iron Fur. Going down to our defensive skill tree, we have 3 points Ancestral Fortitude and then 3 points into Vigilance for the big damage reduction here. Then we're going 1 point Earthen Bulwark into Enhanced Earthen Bulwark to give us Unstoppable. Then 1 point Cyclone Armor into Preserving Cyclone Armor for the damage reduction. Then we're going 1 point Debilitating Roar into Preserving Debilitating Roar. Then into our Wrath Tree, we're going 1 point Elemental Exposure, 3 points Endless Tempest, 3 points Bad Omen, and 3 points Electric Shock. Then we are going to be picking up 1 point Neurotoxin, 3 points in Venom, and then 1 point into Toxic Claws. Then into our ultimate skill tree, we're grabbing 3 points of Defiance as well as 3 points into our Cataclysm ultimate. Then we're picking up 3 points into Defensive Posture, and then grabbing up 3 points Quick Shift, 3 points Height and Senses. Then we're grabbing 1 point Natural Fortitude to allow us to have a reliable way to build up Fortify without spamming our defensive skills. And then for our key passive, we are going to be running Bestial Rampage. I also want to mention that the skill tree setup is a little bit different for the Andariel's version of this build. So if you're using that setup, go ahead and give that skill tree a look over. Moving on to our Paragon board, we are slotting Keeper in our starter board. Then we're moving into Constricting Tendrils and slotting in Fang and Claw here. Then for our third board, we're grabbing Height and Malice as well as slotting in Earth and Sky. For our fourth board, that's going to be the Thunderstruck board. We're slotting in Electrocution as well as picking up the Thunderstruck node here. Moving on to our fifth board, we're going to be running the Inner Beast board and we're slotting in the Werewolf Glyph here. And that's mainly just for the damage reduction while in Werewolf form. If you would prefer, you can slot in something that gives you a little bit more damage instead. Then to our sixth board, that is going to be the Ancestral Guidance board and we're slotting in Spirit here to just jack up our critical strike damage a lot more. And then from there, we're just trailing back into our third board, the Height and Malice board, and picking up the legendary node, Height and Malice. But anyways, guys, that is all for the video. That is my Stormclaw build here for Season 5. And as always, it is a ton of fun to play this build. However, it still lacks the damage to be competitive in the current meta for the game. Now, I will be releasing my Windshear setup tomorrow, as well as my human version of the Nature's Fury Landslide setup the following day. So do be on the lookout for those. And if you guys have any questions regarding any of my builds, go ahead and post them down in the comments section and I will answer them as soon as I see them. But as always, guys, I hope you're having a great day or a great night, depending on wherever you're from, and peace out, guys. I will see you in the next one.